Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards, the logical place to come for all your Star Trek information, fun discussions, and hangouts. I am Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Kongs. Yes, deep dive, breakdowns, comparisons, the only place to go for this sort of content. We're very proud of that, and Prodigy is giving us a lot to talk about this week with the Galaxy Class Bridge, the Prey Bridge, the Klingons, all of our legacy characters, most of which brought back via archival dialogue, and what a fantastic experience it was for everyone. Who are we talking about this week, Stuart? Or this day, because there's so many episodes this week alone.
If you saw the thumbnail, you might also know, or the title, you might also know that we're talking about Spock today. TOS Spock joining us in a Kobayashi Maru scenario.
Certainly a shot I wish we'd seen in Unification. Nimoy on the Enterprise D bridge. They certainly missed out on those tricks. So finally, long after his passing, he's back. And for the record, no Ethan Peck as Spock. They could have gone down that line. He's alive, he's raring, he would have recorded a whole new set of dialogue. No, full prime, full canon, here we go. And here's 4 shots of Spock from various angles and vibes, and we'll compare them directly with the show version. So what do you think, and what did you think when seeing him?
Okay, I love seeing Spock, first of all. Awesome. But the character design, I know it's animation style, but something about his head just bothers me. It's like the top of his head is like not as big as it should be. It just feels, I don't know, something about they definitely made him look alien compared to a lot of the other characters, and I don't quite know how I feel about that, but it was great to see him regardless.
I think each of these 4 shots he looks different, like he feels different. I think the one on the left he feels most like Spock, because the chin doesn't feel as harsh and the head thing, whereas like the bottom middle, easily another Vulcan. That doesn't really like Spock very much, the way it's framed. The other two, the top one looks like a cartoon Spock, and the right looks like kind of a... So they all have a different vibe. Definitely feels too pointed to me. I never got the sense his Nimoy was that pointed. He also is clearly wearing eyeliner, which I think he did in the show to some extent, and it certainly does pop. Did. But I love the uniform. The quad of the uniform is fantastic. It has a really great fabric feel. The braids are a bit thick, but that's okay. They pop this way. The badge, probably a little bit small. Like a little bit, and I've worn this uniform enough times, but it feels enough. I think because his body's so giant in context. Like we've said this in our Galaxy Class review, he's too big for that chair. There is no way that because he's the same.
The headrest would be underneath your shoulder blades.
Yeah, there's no way, because he's probably the same about height as Jonathan Frakes, or might be slightly taller. Jonathan Frakes would be slightly taller. A headrest is otherwise this chair's designed for like a 5-foot person. So I think they definitely there's some skewy imagery here that kind of affects our perspective, but he certainly feels too lanky, too thin, too big. Still clearly Spock though, but they were going clear for more stylized than accurate here. It works for the most part, but now in comparison though, as you can imagine, hard to try and find the exact same sort of expression, but I thought it was kind of cute I managed to get a Gormless expression, just the opposite angle of the face, so it's close enough. Close enough. So here you go. Spock and Spock and Spock and Spock.
No, very, very good. The uniform in particular looked really good for me. The character, like I said, felt a little off, but looking at it here, I mean, you can see what I mean by the head. It seems too flat.
It's been pushed.
Yeah. It's a little odd. I know it's the animation style, it's a choice. You had said lanky as well, which is a word that I would have used to describe him. Very, very tall and string beanie, if you will. Much more so than Leonard Nimoy was, so...
Yeah, because pushing down the hairline changed the curve of the top of his head, and then extending the chin a ton makes him feel more like a vampire. Like if he was in a... what the Transylvania movies are, he'd feel right at home. So certainly...
He was going to be Dracula in the Dracula holodeck simulation that happened right before this, but then they... Just saying.
Perfect. So there's definitely that disconnect, and it is the animation style, but they still could have tweaked it by 10% and made it look a lot more cohesive. And it'd be interesting for some artists to go back and kind of like move the shapes a little bit and see with only a small tweak.
I think a few small tweaks would definitely make it look 1,000 times better. Not that I'm complaining. Prodigy has done a really great thing by doing this for the fans, and we really appreciate it. We're not bashing the producers or anybody that worked on Prodigy. Thank you for doing this, first of all. They are fans, as you can tell. But yeah, I think a few little tweaks to the character model would have felt a little bit better.
Whilst our job here is to do these sort of side-by-side comparisons, and then you can pull your interpretation from it. yeah, it's great, but stylized can often take us out of the moment a bit. And certainly for like Odo's character, you're like, it took us out of it. And if this is meant to be a really great moment, those little tweaks might have benefited quite a lot.
Maybe this is how Spock was actually supposed to look, but because, you only have a human playing him, they did the best they could with Leonard Nimoy.
Which we said for Odo as well, yeah.
So, which makes him look a little more alien. You can't really explain all these more alien-like features with getting your head stuck in a mechanical rice picker, though. The ears, yeah, but anyway, no, I'm just joking. The lines of dialogue were pretty good. You could definitely tell where they're from. A lot of them are very early TOS, and then of course one was the very last appearance, Unification.
It was fantastic to have him cut between 3 conversations from young, old, and then I think JJ as well. It was fun. It was cute, but very well done. Still a disconnect, obviously, because you're writing a scene around lines that are sort of found. But we'd rather have this than not, and referential the love felt for sure. Just we're here to reflect and talk. I do think there's a disadvantage here. The main hero characters look so incredibly detailed, and what does accurate mean? Because they're the first time we're seeing them. They look so good. I would say though Janeway looks closer to Janeway than Spock looks like Spock.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so.
So the stylizedness didn't carry over as much to the hero model, because obviously these aren't going to be spent days and days and days. If you've got to literally make 6 for an episode and 3 Klingons like that, you imagine the workload. Hopefully with the 8-week break, they were, because that's a lot of extra time. Let's be honest, 8 weeks to get these things finished. If they even one model a week by one artist, whatever. But it's interesting to see the comparison of Janeway so close, and this is just a bit too stylized. But it's also a more legacy actor that it's tricky.
Is it tricky or is it Trekkie?
And that's another thing, though, actually. If they're trying to go too close, you would think it's so close but it looks Uncanny Valley, which is a reference to it looks so good but not quite. So maybe their logic was to go more stylized than real, because then you're already thinking it doesn't look like Spock. Mostly it's our version. Because the closer you get, the more small things. So maybe that was the thought as well. Let's not try and make it look too close. Let's try and break it up a bit. But then you have the opposite effect of, well, now it's distracting us by the lack of, it's tricky.
Very distinct possibility there for sure. Did not expect that going into this episode. So,
well, I called something, but we said didn't expect this much, because that was kind of a faint hope of, I'd love to see legacy people.
But how many times have we said that with Picard and
all
Discovery?
Of the times.
And it just never pays off. So we're kind of at this point where we're jaded. So when we get something like this, we're like, yay! They get it. They finally get it.
It'd be kind of fun actually, like a super cut or a hard cut from our review saying we hope they include some stuff, and then cut to like
yeah, like Major Grin style.
Good job.
Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments section what you thought about Spock being here. What did you think of the character model? And what do you think of the lines of dialogue? And a lot of people have kind of complained about the dialogue being taken from other sources and not really sampled so well, it seems. But honestly, I'm not going to give them hell for it. They're doing things that we want to see as fans. So let's give them the credit they deserve for doing this kind of stuff.
As we've been trying to, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So comment down below and let us know your thoughts. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join us on all our social medias. And if you want to join us for a live, we'd really appreciate that as well. We love talking to you guys, especially in real time. So hit that like button and then come on over and join us for a live.
And if you want to support what we do here, all these many videos and all these many things, comparison winners, etc., then support us via PayPal, Patreon, which is monthly, join the channel, which is monthly on YouTube, or super chatting during those lives, because we love that interaction, as Joey said. And it's just a fun thing to do. Creates conversation, creates a bouncing energy, and helps us keep going. And we want to keep going, but we can't do it without your help. So if you can, please do. If you can't, just come next time. But if you can, please do.
That's right. So until next time, he is Commander Calkins.
And he's Captain Phil.
And live long and prosper, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.